All right, welcome into the Rocky Top Insider Reaction Show. This is Ryan Shumpert. I am Rick Butler. Man, what a game here from Auburn, Alabama. As Tennessee had good things happen. Tennessee had some bad things happen, but ultimately they had a chance to win it at the end, but narrowly fall short against Auburn. Ryan, what did you think about this game and just how everything unfolded? People have been calling it a rock fight, a slugfest, all of those different kind of cliche terms, but I think they're fairly fitting for a 53 to 51 type battle like we saw tonight.
For sure, and all that is true. I did think, honestly, the second half or maybe the last 10, 15 minutes out now, I thought actually had a pretty good little pace to it.
Yeah.
The team started hitting some shots.
Both
Teams all started playing a little better on offense. But yeah, no, you're right. A disappointing loss for Tennessee in the sense that they were up by 4, shooting a free throw. I think it was 2:07 left. They had a late lead. Even though not that they were down by much most of the game, but they trailed for the vast majority of the game. So disappointing that they had an opportunity there. You mentioned a shot that would have taken the lead with 7 seconds left too. Just kind of go in and out. So I think disappointment in that. It's the number 1 team in the country, but I think at the end of the day, if you would have told anybody, the Tennessee would have had a shot it in the last 3-pointer, pretty good look in the last 10 seconds with a chance to win. They probably would have taken it. Because I think most people, felt like Tennessee was going to lose this one on the road.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different ways that you can get into this game, and certainly we can talk about things that Tennessee needs to improve in or just mishaps that may have occurred. Certainly the first half was not a pretty game for Tennessee, nor was it for Auburn as well. But I think even with the loss, I think you got to sit here and you got to talk about Tennessee's resiliency. It was a resilient game. I mean, to come to a place like this as hostile and electric as it was, and to continue battling for 40 straight minutes. There were times where Tennessee could have folded up. There were times where Tennessee could have sort of dropped off the map a little bit. But I think by that senior leadership from Zakai Ziegler, they were able to stay in. They were able to trade punches with Auburn. I believe at one point late in the game, there was something like 12 ties and 8 lead changes. I think with the way that the game ended, that those numbers obviously probably lifted up a little bit as well. And look, again, we'll talk about some of the negatives or some of the mishaps as well, but it takes a lot of resiliency to keep yourself in a 40-minute game with so much against you like it was here tonight with the environment and just the way that the fans were interacting and things of that nature.
I think you hit the nail on the head with some of the seniors playing well for Tennessee. I mean, I had the 2 takeaways written, third takeaway for if a win or a loss, and the one if they would have won, it was how big Tennessee's 3 veteran seniors have been, the guys that have been in the program. This guy Ziegler didn't shoot the ball particularly well, but he played really well. Jermaine Mashack was great defensively. Kind of smart. He didn't score all 6 points. He only scored 4 of them, but he really was the guy in a 6-0 run for Tennessee early in the second half. Yeah. And then Jordan Gainey, who was playing with flu-like symptoms tonight. Again, not that he was just great, but he hit 2 big threes in the second half. I think both of them maybe tied the game at that time. So those guys were good. And, Tennessee, and we've had a number of games that have felt this way. The Illinois one, the Texas one, this one's probably the most severe one, where the whole first half, it feels like Tennessee should be down by 15 right now with the way they're playing.
Yeah.
But they were down by 2, and then second half, again, it felt like Tennessee, both teams played a lot better. Certainly things Tennessee needs to improve on. Certainly flaws we saw in this game that we've seen in other games that maybe get more and more inflated with this performance. But overall, I don't think anything – it wasn't like the Florida game. Tennessee's now been in 2 massive road games against top 5, top 10 teams. They laid a complete egg against Florida. And like I said, certainly a lot of disappointment not finishing tonight. But they came to play, and they didn't let a bad start spiral. They didn't let a bad offense. We talked about it at the Florida game.
Yeah.
They let a bad offensive half spiral on them, and they got killed. Tonight, they had a bad offensive half. They stuck with it. I think that's a sign of growth for this team.
And one of the uncharacteristic things that you saw from that Florida game, I remember us talking about it on the post-game show, it's just that Tennessee's bad offense really affected their defense, and that just wasn't as much the case tonight. Even though you had a game where it was 22-20 at halftime, they're scoring a point per minute. Tennessee's defense was still able to keep them in the game, keep them doing what they needed to do, put them in a position where, hey, you do knock down a few shots, you can get yourselves back into this game. I was really impressed by Tennessee's defense for a lot of this game. Auburn is a phenomenal offensive team. There's no doubt about it. Tennessee held them to just 4 of 21 from, that's Tennessee's numbers. Held them to just 3 of 20 from three-point range. Tennessee went 4 of 21, so they made one more shot on one more attempt. But you got to give credit to Tennessee's defense for being able to adjust to the Auburn offensive style. I know Rick Barnes said that they expected Janai Broome to play all week, and we saw that at practice yesterday. But still, to be able to game plan for a guy who hadn't been in the lineup for a week and then to go out there and do what he did, obviously Janai Broome is a National Player of the Year contender. He's going to get his, but Tennessee did a really nice job of slowing down a lot of those other counterparts to get them to those kind of final stages of the game.
Yeah, Jemai Meshack was fantastic on Chad Baker-Mazara, who's Auburn's second leading scorer. And I was
finished with 7 points without a field goal.
Yeah, we were sitting there working at the scores table, and Bruce Pearl's on the field of 68, their post-game show or whatever tonight, and he was saying that they thought Janai Broome, there's no way they'd play him more than 20 minutes. They had to play him 32 minutes tonight to win. They did not have any offense besides him. And not that he was just phenomenal, but yeah, Tennessee, Auburn, who's number one offense team in the country, one of the better offensive teams in a number of years. Tennessee did a good job of slowing them down. It's, again, the offense. Tennessee needs to find more consistency.
Tennessee had 2 double-digit scores tonight. Was Kai Ziegler scoring a team-high 14 points, followed by Chaz Lanier with 10 points. Jordan Gainey had 8. Jemai Meshack had 7, and then the rest kind of trickle in after that. What are your sort of closing thoughts as we get ready to leave Auburn here tonight? Just sort of what did this game tell you about Tennessee? Obviously, like you had alluded to earlier, there have been a couple of missteps on the road so far, but this one, again, certainly a rock fight. Certainly it didn't look pretty the whole time, but Tennessee was able to use a little bit of toughness and resiliency to make it to the end. Sort of what do you take away from this game?
Well, I mean, I've hit on all the positive stuff, so I'll go to negative, and we're not just complete sunshine pumpers on here after a loss. Tennessee needs more offensively. They need Chaz Lanier to be better. He did hit 2 big shots in the second half, but he disappeared. He was soft at the basket early in the game, got blocked on and dunked it. He should have been able to finish. He's the guy that was leading the SEC in scoring coming into conference play. Tennessee simply needs more from him. He was not effective enough offensively tonight. And then we heard Rick Barnes talk about it. He said, it was kind of funny. He said, we need more scoring in the front line. And he said, Felix is working his butt off. He complimented Felix, but it says Igor Milicic needs to be better offensively. He needs to give Tennessee more offense. He's too inconsistent on that end of the court right now.
Right.
He has some games where he looks great. He has other games where he's just not giving him anything on the offensive end. This week, he scored, 7 tonight? What was it tonight?
4 tonight.
4 tonight. He scored 7 points this week. He scored 3 against Mississippi State on Tuesday. Tennessee's going to need more from that.
And that's against 2 top 15 teams when Tennessee's going to need that extra element.
Yeah, especially on the road. Look, like at home, Tennessee's going to shoot the ball better from the perimeter. That's just the nature of it. The need for that interior offense won't be quite as big. You always want it. You always need it to a degree. But on the road, if Tennessee's going to be more consistent, they need more inside. And as Rick Barnes said, you're not looking to Felix Okpara for a whole lot more offensively inside. You're looking to Igor Milicic. So it's the transfers. It's the transfers that were 2 of Tennessee's 3 best offensive players in non-conference play, as well as the Kai Ziegler. Those guys got to be better for Tennessee going forward and more consistent more than anything for Tennessee going forward.
Plenty of questions still to be answered from this Tennessee team, but there are still a lot more games to get to, including a couple more big ones this week as Tennessee takes on more top 25 ranked opponents.
Yeah, Kentucky on Tuesday night, who's riding a 2-game losing streak, and then Florida to look to get a little bit of revenge for that ugly loss down in Gainesville earlier this month. So 2 more very challenging games for Tennessee this week at home. The SEC this year, man, you got to take care of home court because everything on the road is going to be very, very difficult.
Yep, like Ryan alluded to, both those games will be in Knoxville, so stay tuned to Rocky Top Insider for live on-site coverage of both of those contests. Again, Tennessee loses to number 1 Auburn by a score of 53-51 in a tight, narrow, back-and-forth, 2-point contest at the end of the day. Hey, we got a ton of post-game content for you up on the YouTube account right now. You can look at Rick Barnes post-game. You can look at Bruce Pearl post-game. Tennessee players and Auburn players, all of it is available on the Rocky Top Insider YouTube account, wherever you're watching this right now. But we're going to go ahead and wrap things up, get back to Knoxville, continue doing a little bit of work, researching, breaking down this Tennessee basketball team as they fall to Auburn here tonight. This is Ryan Shumpert. I'm Rick Butler. You've been listening to the RTI Reaction Show. Catch you back for the next one.